Well, good Friday afternoon, friends. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Hope everybody's having a great day. Man, it sucks, man. We were so, it's a good day, bad day. I feel good that the Cowboys played as well as they did, but it's a bad day because we didn't play good enough to get the victory. But, from the standpoint of looking at this team where they are, and, we played better than I'm thinking that almost anybody did. We looked at a lot of the holes that we had on the roster, and we played good. We actually played good. To think that you held the defending Super Bowl champions to 24 points, that you held A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith to 24 yards and 4 catches, that you held Saquon for 60 yards is unbelievable. When you do that kind of stuff, you got to come away with the win. They didn't, but hopefully they'll get better. Shoddy definitely is not a bad coach, okay? So this morning on Get Up, Dan Urlowsey was definitely swinging from Jalen Hurts' you-know-what. And, bloviating about how great they are and this, that, and the other. On to the Rich Eisen show. And Dan Orlowski's biggest takeaways from the Cowboys versus the Eagles. I'm curious what they have. Because, see, Ryan Clark kind of went into that pause. Because he kind of went in and he said, look, if Miles Sanders doesn't fumble the football and CeeDee Lamb doesn't drop all 3 of those passes, it's a different outcome, and we're looking at Dak Prescott differently than we did. Dak Prescott played just as perfect as Jalen Hurts did. Unfortunately, it takes a team to get the win. Let's go to the tape.
From the Philadelphia Eagles perspective, one, quarterback looked fantastic. I thought Jalen played about as perfect as you could play. Literally, statistically, he rivals it. 23 pass attempts, 19 completions, so that's 4 misses. But 3 of them are drops and 1's a throwaway. So you watched him carry the football team. I thought
Dan?
Was perfect.
I also know there's
the
dead
Super
spots
Bowl,
in
you're
the
going,
nerd.
this guy's hot right now. This guy's hot right now. I think the second thing is you played your C game. You played your C game and you still win at home against a division opponent.
Oh, God.
Whether it's a world beater or not, that's encouraging.
You're a piece of crap.
Probably have Nick Sirianni's attention. One, the 9 penalties defensively for over 100 yards, not okay. Obviously, the Jalen Carter thing starts it, but the 9 penalties, and I think 3 or 4 of them unsportsmanlike, big deal. So addressing that. And the second thing is, and Rich, all going yesterday morning, leaning into the game, if I was the Cowboys, I'm throwing 80% of my passes opposite Quinyon Mitchell. So they picked on Adoree Jackson, and that's got to have your attention because they had Dallas a ton of success doing that, okay? So those are 2 things that if you're Philly, grab your attention, but you're 1-0. I think from Dallas, it's a double-edged sword for me. One, you gave the game away. It was there, and you beat yourselves. 4 drops. Obviously, the Miles Sanders fumble is huge. Shout out to Zach Bond because that fumble doesn't happen if he doesn't track him down. But the 4 drops by CeeDee Lamb is one of the best receivers in football. It's there for the taking. So you're that one part of you like so disappointed in that regard. But on the other edge, you're going, I feel encouraged if I'm the Cowboys and their fans. My head coach looked like he got us to play the right way. Brian Schottenheimer looked competent. We're situationally in a good place. We situationally.
This is the best he's sound.
Fantastic. He looked
broken up
last night that he did all of last season. The interior of our offensive line looked really good. Now, no Jalen Carter, so I'm not going to discount that doesn't matter. But that interior of the offensive line, given what was in front of them, looks very good. And I also think the defense was better against the run. So 0-1, no doubt, but I'm encouraged if I'm the Cowboys to clean some things up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, I mean, we all found it, I'll be honest, a little bit laughable to hear how let's trade away Micah because we need to stop the run, and here comes Kenny Clark straight up for Micah Parsons. You're wondering how in the world a team could do something like that. But you take a look at what happened last night when Kenny Clark was on the field. The Dallas Cowboys allowed just 2.8 yards per carry.
Yep.
And then when Clark was off the field, 6.6 yards per carry. He actually did affect some things, and it came down to Jalen Hurts breaking their back with his legs when he wasn't being accurate with his arm. And you take a look at the CD drops, you got to figure that's not going to be the case. You're hoping that Javonte Williams' success wasn't completely all due to the fact that Jalen Carter spat his way out of the game. If you're Dallas, you do have to feel pretty damn good about all of that. Certainly if you want to prove that your coach has the chops and you want to prove that Micah's trade isn't the end of their existence, right?
Yes, right. So again, that's what vantage point did you want to see it? Because you could also make the case, Rich, like they win that game with Micah, because those 5 first downs that Jalen runs for, Micah tracks him down for 1 or 2. So you sit in, and that's why I say like a playoff contending football team is what I think I saw in Dallas last night, because they don't have any difference makers on defense. They don't. It's a good unit. It was solid, but they don't. If I look at the Rams, they got Jared Verse. If I look at the Eagles, they got Jalen Carter. If I look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they got Vita Vea, difference maker. And so, like, you're encouraged by the way the unit played. You sit there and go, it's still lacking that real, specifically front 7 difference maker.
Well, I mean, I'm not sitting here obviously saying that they shouldn't have traded Micah. I mean, that's nuts. Mm-hmm. Again, it totally was an encouraging, execution that you saw last night. The result wasn't, but at least Dallas didn't get blown out, which I thought everyone thought was a possibility. Mm-hmm. And then you look at the Eagles. You're right; they were lucky to come out with a win last night. That the Cowboys would have 1,000,000% signed for Jalen Carter being kicked out before snap, and if Saquon is only 60 yards. And A.J. Brown doesn't get a single touch or a look until the final drive of the game, they would have signed for that. What about the passing game that you saw last night from Philadelphia moving forward that might be something? Because that was a major concern that caused A.J. Brown to start reading books on the sideline last year, and I'm wondering if that might be an issue for this team this year,
Right now, that's not something for me. I think that what I've evolved in my kind of the way I think about and look at Jalen and their passing game is I just think he's one of those rare guys, Rich, that just does whatever is needed on that play to make sure that play is operated the right way and that whatever's needed to win that football game. A lot of times with quarterbacking, you have your play. And then
he's not an Eagle fan, is he?
And the defense has theirs. And the defense, in some ways, dictates to you what you're going to do with the ball. And you can't just force the ball to certain areas. And if you watch Dallas, they just played with really soft coverage. They played with that umbrella or half circle shell. You're not going to throw the ball over our heads. We're going to play a ton of zone. And that's why you saw Dallas Goedert get 7 catches. And so that's why you saw Jalen run the football 9 times, because they just kept everything in front of them. And we're not going to allow the ball to go over their heads outside of that one Jahan Dotson throw. And so I'm not going to overreact to it right now. I think it falls on Kevin Patullo, because here's the thing. Like, go back to the Super Bowl last year. And Kansas City came out and said, well, we're going to play with one safety in the middle of the field, and we're going to play man coverage, and we're going to challenge you guys. Jalen threw the ball downfield. That's just the simplistic beast of what you're going against in Philly's offense. If you want to make sure that...
Okay, Dan, you're lousy. Swinging from the Eagles, you know what? If I'm a Cowboy fan, and I am, I think you should feel encouraged by what we've seen. By all means, I would love to see us adding some more talent to the roster, because what you have to be, if you're Jerry Jones right now, is you look at that and say, we went into the belly of the beast. My quarterback ended up backing Jalen Carter down. Okay, let's be real. He showed no fear whatsoever. And you saw what you're able to do having two legitimate wide receivers, be it CeeDee Lamb. He should have had 250 yards easily if CeeDee Lamb was coming down with catches, or Jake Ferguson in the end zone. But yeah, we did all right. And this is a good starting point. Now we've got 10 days to get ready for the New York Giants. And to let some of the guys, let Diggs and to let Guyton heal up a little bit more, get a little stronger before we really get into the meat of the schedule. As always, good people, I appreciate y'all, and it's going to be a busy day. Peace out.